I'm using AI to generate a blog post Monday through Friday every single day. And I was worried when I started doing this that it was going to come out sounding like every other AI generated blog post. It sounds like total crap. So I built a process and a system that helps me generate high quality, well linked, well researched pieces that I publish to my blog. Because the problem isn't really AI, it's how we use AI that does that. And when you go the lazy way, you end up with that recycled garbage that gets published across the web en masse. It's not that hard to stick out. And I'm going to show you from start to finish how I actually produce a blog post. I'm going to show you all the tools I use. Let's dive in. So before we start, I kind of want to prefix that there are two paid tools that I'm using today. One is Perplexity AI Pro. That's this. And the other is ChatGPT. And I use this because ChatGPT allows us to create these custom GPTs that have these instructions that we can provide it so it writes a certain way. And this is one that I'm constantly refining, which I'll talk about in a little bit. If I show you this, there's a whole set of instructions that I've written, and these are constantly being iterated upon every single time that I'm generating content using this GPT. And I'll tell you a little more about that. The other tool is Perplexity. And Perplexity is an AI tool for research. If you haven't used it before, it's an incredible alternative to Google because at the time being, right now it's December 2024, it's not overwhelmed by paid ads or anything like that. The platform is obviously being subsidized by venture capital, etc. But for now, it's an excellent tool for research because it's like if ChatGPT and Google made a baby and everything was cited and sourced, but also written out exactly as you need it. You don't search through search results. You just kind of get the answer right there. On Google, this kind of happens if you search for something and they give you the AI thing, but Perplexity does that like at scale. So we're going to use those two tools. Now, the blog is the Tetherform blog. Tetherform is a survey platform for associations and communities that automatically generates recommendations to help you improve your member engagement and retention. I publish a blog every single day, Monday through Friday, that relates to some of these struggles and pain points that associations and communities deal with. And today I want to create a blog post for the blog that is about program ideas. A lot of these associations, communities put on frequent monthly programs, maybe an annual conference, but I want to generate a list of ideas for them to consider that they can use to do that. So that's the concept of the blog. That's as far as we're going to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hop over to Perplexity, and I'm going to kind of establish what we want to get because we're going to use Perplexity to build the framework of the outline and the references and any data that we want to incorporate. So let's do it like this. I am doing research for a professional association that hosts monthly events. I would like to generate a list of ideas and references to use for designing a variety of events we could host. The intention is to have a solid base of ideas from which ideas, event structures, and networking mechanisms that are both in person, virtual, or hybrid to help us plan our events. Ideally, we would have a set of structures upon which we could place an event concept and build a unique program for our members. It's not the greatest prompt in the world, but this is brainstorming. We're just kind of starting here. So we're going to start first by asking for exactly what we want here. And Pro is going to do a few different things. Right, you can see right now, customly, it's going to generate a list of ideas, then it's going to find references, and it's going to look for examples. Examples is going to be huge for us because in our blog post, it'll be nice if an association is trying to plan something, if they could go look at someone else who has done it. So we can see we're getting a core event formats like, traditional conferences, seminars, networking mixers, virtual events, hybrid events, Event structures are educational, network focus, social and team building, and then engagement mechanisms, pre-event, during event. Okay, this is great. This is a fantastic list. So this framework provides a foundation for creating diverse, engaging events that can be customized to your association's specific needs and member interests. Okay, let's take this to the next level, because we're going to provide this in our prompt, because ChatGPT is actually going to be the thing that writes the first draft of our blog post. We're going to edit it. We want to provide a kind of a fact sheet, things that it can pull from as it's designing its outline and its blog post. So let's have Perplexity provide this information separately. Provide this information as a fact sheet with different ideas laid out in a way that a writer could use it as a reference point when blogging about different programming ideas. For any references, please provide the web link, if any, as a string literal. I wanted to type out the actual website that's called the string literal for anyone who's a little less technical, as a string literal in parentheses for easy reference. For example, and I'll just show what I mean. Here is a program example in the real world https example info.com. Okay, so we're going to get this, and that will allow us then to seed our custom GPT with some information about it. While it's doing that, I'm going to flip over to the actual instructions that we have inside of the GPT. So the way we've written this is I've added different blocks. You put these in these alligator mouths. What are they called? Brackets, I suppose. Put them in the brackets to kind of structure it for GPT to ingest the information a little more elegantly, I suppose. So first I tell it who it is. You are an expert writer specializing in high-ranking SEO blogs. And then I give it a process. So first, receive a blog post title, keywords, and additional information from the user for a blog topic. This is telling the GPT how to act when it talks to me. Then present a proposed outline and request feedback. Revise the outline until approved. Then begin writing the blog one section at a time. Reserve the introduction until the end. That way the introduction is more comprehensive and relevant to what it's going on. The user will provide feedback after each section. You will revise until approved. Once all the sections are finished, ask the user for any final changes, edits, removals. That's like a last-ditch effort. Provide the user with a set of suggested blog titles that are SEO-friendly and likely high-converting. Provide the user with an SEO-friendly summary to use underneath the title in the Google search results. And then ask the user for an image description and generate a 1920 by 1080 pixel rendering for him. The rest of this are general requirements about how to write, and then writing style. Writing style is something that actually all three sections are something I'm constantly iterating and improving, because the more automated I can make it sound like me and be authentic and actually do that, the better. Or I should say more like the brand voice of Tetherform, because it's not me, Kevin, writing it is Tetherform proper. So it didn't quite add the string literals. Perplexity didn't. So I would like to reformat with the string, the URLs included as proper strings. Let's have it provided as a table. Provide the information as a table in Markdown. Markdown will let us provide it to GPT a little more effectively. Format with the URLs references in a column as strings. I've never asked Pro to generate a table, so I don't know if it's going to properly do this. Look at that. That looks pretty good. So event type, description, reference URL, hybrid. Okay, so there's all this stuff. I want to add a little more information to the description about what that particular item is. It looks like it's giving us a few tables here. So in the description, indicate more detail as to what makes this format unique and how to use it effectively. Maybe we should add a second column for that. Let's do that. Add a fourth column to indicate more detail as to what makes the format unique and how to use it effectively. Look at all that research. It's searching the web. It's literally going out into the web, reading stuff, coming back. I assume it's taken in its previous context. Reference URL as string. That is the column title. Awesome. Okay, unique elements and best practices. Uses matching algorithm for personalized schedules. Creates a 333% more connections. Let's just check out that speed networking here. If we go to that URL, that's right here. That 333%. Look at that. In fact, the average networking event with 100 participants creates about 300 new connections, but a speed networking event of the same size creates 1,000 plus. That's 333% more meetings. I don't know if more meetings is a good thing, but we have a reference here that we can properly use in our blog post. That way, when we're writing this blog post, it's actually going out to the web. It's not just making stuff up, which is what most GPT things do. Now, the made up stuff comes from data, but it's just totally like unfounded. It's not linking anything there, and Google or SEO engines will not recognize that you're shouting out other websites, like giving backlinks, and it won't be as effective. So looks like we now have one big massive table. That's great. I'm going to copy this, and I don't know what it's really going to look like when I paste it in, but let's start our blog post. So I told it the first thing we're going to do is receive a blog post title, keywords, and additional information. Now the title is kind of a working title because in a later step, ChatGPT is actually going to provide us with some ideas for blog titles that might work. So far, those haven't been super great, but we'll find out. So I'll do this. Topic, different program ideas for your professional association. We'll call this monthly program ideas. Keywords, program ideas, association programs, what to, how to, yeah, we'll just kind of leave it at that. And then additional information, sources, and different program ideas and references to consider when writing the outline and the different sections. Paste. Look at that. Let's undo that and paste it in as code. So 3 little backticks, 3 little backticks, and between them we'll have our whole table in there. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is give us a proposed outline. Let's take a look at this. Introduction, I'm going to ignore that for now. Monthly program ideas to energize your professional association. That's all right. Engage your members with structured networking events. Speed networking, breakfast networking. 2, offer learning opportunities with professional development programs, lunch and learns, and workshops. I like how it's segmenting it into sections that say, thematically, this is what this type of program can do. 3, keep your events accessible with virtual and hybrid formats. Okay. That one's a little less strong. I think maybe actually, I think I want to change the whole tone to be more of a listicle, like different ideas to consider. So let's say this. Rebuild the outline to focus more on these ideas as a listicle. Something that could be used as a reference. I think I'd like each section should spell out when these formats are appropriate, what their main purposes are, should include, I should say, include information, info about when these, what their main purposes are, and any real world references or statistics found in the provided table. All right, let's see what it goes now. "12 program ideas to energize your professional association." Speed networking, cool. Virtual conferences, okay. Panel discussions, yep, okay. So if you're planning events and you're like, what kind of formats can we really go after? This is the intention of the blog. Speed networking, that's weak. I mean, it's fine, but honestly, who's going to these things just to speed network? I don't know. Virtual conferences, like, yeah, but that's hard. And, we're out of COVID at this point, so that could be trickier to sell. Panel discussions, that's a pretty standard format. Well-being workshops, I mean, that's not a format, is it? That's just like, it's a workshop. So I'm going to have it revised. Well-being workshops, we'll go through this at the end. Award ceremonies, like, that makes sense. How many chapters are putting on award ceremonies, like, as a format. Lunch and learn sessions, that's a pretty standard thing. Hybrid events, that's not a format or a program idea as much as it is like a technical implementation. Job fairs, okay, sure. Virtual happy hours, yep. Virtual happy hours, okay, interesting. Summits, that's interesting. Community events, silent auctions. Okay. Let's revise some of these ideas so there is a mix of novel, proven formats and structures, and some less popular formats that help solve that associations would like to use. Do not include any of the following. Let's tell it to smoke out. Speed networking. Just don't like that it's so focused on networking. Virtual conferences. Panel discussions is fine. That's kind of a normal one. Well-being workshops. But keep the idea of workshops in play, because I do like that part. Award ceremonies is good. Lunch and learn, yep, that's a normal one. Hybrid events, I'll tell it why. Hybrid events, this is more of a technical implementation than a program idea. Job fairs, yep. Virtual happy hours, we'll keep it in there. Why not? Summits is good. Community events, we'll say community events, not specific enough. Silent auctions, but like, what's the program? I mean, you're just like raising money. I mean, maybe if you're a more socially driven association, that would make sense. Okay. All right, so like you can see here, this is not very automated. We are going back and forth over and over because I labor over these outlines. It's important to me that what we're presenting isn't just the first thing off the top of ChatGPT's mind. I want to actually guide this thing into something very useful, very good, very like in line with what I'm trying to do. And I'm not an outsider to associations. I know what I'm talking about with a lot of this stuff. So that's a little different than what some bloggers might be doing with this stuff. They're just blogging about things they don't know. So they don't even know how to really dissect the information in an intelligent way. So panel discussions, yep. Themed lunch and learns, sure. Game show competitions, interesting. Micro workshops. Okay, when we get to that section, I will ask it to write more specific examples. Award ceremonies with a twist. Okay. Industry hackathons. Yep, I like that. Reverse mentoring sessions. Breakfast networking with a purpose. Ask me anything events, that's a good one. Job shadowing programs, build a solution. This one is the same as hackathon to me. Industry summit. So replace with something Actually, we'll say combine it. Combine, build a solution works, brainstorming ideas with the hackathon section, and provide a separate 12th idea. I think we'll have it after this one. It's going to rewrite the whole thing. That's fine. So while that's coming up, let's prepare our blog post actually. So here's where I write it. It's just a Google Doc. It's nothing fancy. I won't show this process in this video, but the way that we actually get this onto the website, because it's a MERN stack React app, is a little bit convoluted and not really relevant for what we're doing, but we're going to document it here, do with it from here whatever you want to do. So this is blog post. I just number them for my own sanity here. Is going to be something around program ideas for associations. So I'll just include that as our title, and away we go. This is pretty cool. Google Docs, you can switch to pageless, and there's no pages, obviously. Wow. Okay. What is that? Number 12 here. Okay. Let's keep it in. Let's learn about it, and we'll get in there. Okay. So now we'll say, hey, please start writing. All right, so it didn't follow our directions perfectly. It slapped an introduction in there. That's okay. We'll take it for now. It might also try to write it again at the end, since that's the thing. So for now, we're just going to take almost everything it does if we don't revise it, and we're going to copy it into our document. And at this point, we're going to edit it. After we get everything in there, we're going to edit it. We're going to use ChatGPT to get the first draft. I'm going to work through a few of these, and then I'll pause the video, and I'll come back when I've got everything in the Google Doc, and we'll pick up right at that point. So you can see here, it's actually starting to write all the sections. I don't like that, because what happens is ChatGPT will start taking shortcuts, and it'll really make things far more concise than they're meant to be. So, and maybe it's because I just said please start writing instead of please continue with the directions. You can see how very small it is, and that's okay. Maybe that's the blog post, but I think we could use a little more prose inside of this post. So when it gets done, I'm going to say, please follow the instructions and write from section 1. Please start over with writing one section at a time, like the instructions say. And I'm making a mental note, because this is not the process that I want to follow when we're using ChatGPT. We want this to be automated. So something in our instructions needs to change. Something about if we're revising the outline and then we continue, then proceed to the part where you write one section at a time. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we'll get to that at the end. Always iterate. Always make improvements on what you believe your system is doing. So please start over with writing one section at a time, like the instructions say. Start with section 1. There we go. Panel discussion. See, it looks a lot more like a blog post. It's got some of this formatting that I don't care for that much, where it bolds something, colon, and then explains it. That's okay. We'll take that in, and we will edit it so that it's written a lot better. Whoops. One panel discussions. Wow. Should have just copied it. So panel discussions. And actually, let's tune it at this point, because we can get it to adopt these new rules with the rest of the sections. So panel discussions. So rewrite to provide the when to use and main purpose information into a small 2-column, 2-row table. I guess 2x2 table would be fine there. 2x2 table. The real world insights section should be integrated more naturally into the section without a literal header or bolded text. Write naturally, adhering to the writing guidelines in your instructions. There is a little bit of work to do here. And it's not always going to be perfect. There's very likely always going to be something to deal with in this whole thing. But this is starting to look a little bit better, right? We put this neat little table right in the middle that's a little bit catching to the eye. Now we just got these massive blocks of text here. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We'll keep it for now. We'll say proceed to section 2. So, and we're going to proceed through every section until we actually get to the end. And now I'm going to paste this in. This is an H2. This table needs some formatting help, but I'm going to pause here and we'll pick up after I've gone through all the sections. I'll show you what we have. All right, so now that we have all of the different sections in here, you can see here, literally copy pasting everything that was promoted. I'm calling this the first draft. We're gonna have it continue now and say, let me know if you'd like me to create, yes, please continue. It's written all the sections now, please continue. It didn't actually write the introduction. So once we have this here, it's gonna give us these suggested titles. So 12 ideas, creative ideas, engage and retain. And I'll probably play around with these later after the video. But let's try 12 inspiring program ideas to energize your professional associations. We'll just kind of hold that one for now in our draft. So I'll just post that up here, and that's where that's going to live. SEO friendly meta description. Needs a little bit of work. So I haven't given it a lot of guidance on this. You probably saw that in the instructions, but I'll just take this last sentence here. That will probably work just fine for now for the draft. And then we're going to have ChatGPT actually generate a picture for us. And how we do that, we'll do that. So let's generate an image. This is like a bunch of different networking of two people getting to know each other in a professional setting. Use surrealism art as the foundation of the style. That was very wordy for just saying be surrealist or surrealism style. So now it's going to generate that. We'll see if it does it in the 1080 by 1920. Been having trouble with that lately. Nope. So now doesn't that look like the most generic thing ever? Redo to be more creative and provide in a 1080, 1920 by 1080 pixel ratio size. That is not a ratio. That is a size. While it does that, I'll talk about the next step. So I'm just going to kind of leave that there for now. The next step is, this is where things get really interesting. We're going to work through, wow, and it did not do that. It did add a little more surrealism. Okay, we'll call that good for now over there. We're going to come back to that in a second. So now I want to walk through like my process, and we're going to do a quick version of this, but this is the longer process, and this is why it's not fully automated. This is the kind of thing that takes a while. I'm going to go through everything I wrote, and I'm going to start editing it as if I was editing my own blog post. So let's just do one sentence here. Keeping your professional associates as program fresh engaging is key to entertaining, retaining, and growing membership. Here are 12 ideas. Here are 12 ideas, 12 creative ideas to inspire, to steal for your next event, for your association's next event. And then we'll do a little down emoji, down like that. Not big on emojis, but that felt right. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to end up, changing all of my headers to be H2 and make sure they're all the same. You can see this is a number and a period in this first one because I typed, I repasted, I suppose. I'm going to just format my tables so they look right, and I'm going to adjust the language. Panel discussions offer a dynamic way to explore complex topics through diverse perspectives, making them a cornerstone of professional. Blah. Boring as heck. We could rewrite that a lot better. So we'll just say panel discussions are a go-to for most associations. They allow a variety of experiences of. They allow a variety of perspectives. They allow your attendees to, they expose your attendees to a variety of perspectives on a specific subject. They're excellent. They're excellent for getting, for keeping things interesting and changing the pace during the event. That's probably not what, that's definitely not what I'm going to keep. But what I want to do is just put a few things in here. You know, what I'm going to do is work on adjusting like some of these things, like this little hyphen. That's like an AI thing. If you haven't noticed that, like AI always does that. So I'll replace that, paste, find all, replace all with space, hyphen, space, replace all. And that's only if I keep them. But I don't want any to be in there because they're just a dead giveaway that you generated with AI. And we did generate with AI, but we edited with human, with a human, with me, the human. So we'll work through this, we'll edit it, and then what I do at the end is this. I'll say, okay, that's good. Pretend I went through everything, made it beautiful, made it a lot more in my tone. You know, this should be closer, but it's not perfect. Then I'm going to download this file, download, as a Word doc. As a Word doc. We have it here. And I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, okay, so thank you. Now I want to discuss the writing styles we used as a basis for our instructions. First, I pushed back on a variety of the output to request edits and changes. Based on those proposals, provide a set of recommended adjustments to make to the base instructions you have available to you. So first I want to say, hey, we went back and forth on a few things. Tell me what I missed. What in my instructions was not helpful? Like where were we completely misaligned with like what you were told to do and versus what I ended up having you do? And so now it's going to go, hey, section by section process, proposed update, emphasizing the process outline that content should be delivered and approved one section at a time, right? That's exactly what I was saying. We write it one section at a time, but it's clearly not, it's obviously not clear to the model right now that that is what we need to do. Okay, use structured visual aids like tables. Proposed updates. Incorporate tables when presenting dual elements. Maybe. I don't know if I love that because it's kind of specific to this. That's like maybe a good one to custom build on top while we're writing. Natural integration of references. I didn't have that in the instructions. I don't have that anywhere. So we want to say that we do want to tell it how we want it to provide those different links inside of the body of the work, right? So this, it's going to give me a set of things like this kind of meta about the whole thing, and we'll take this and rework it into the model to make the model a little bit better. The next thing I'm going to do as this is going is going to say, now I'm going to provide you the edited and finished version of the work. Please review it for the differences compared to what was originally generated and provide a set of recommended adjustments, improvements, or removals of the original guidance on tone and style. Based on what you learn, understanding or knowing that the edited version is the desired state of the content. And then we'll upload our blog post that is exactly that. Now, it's not going to find much because I haven't changed much. I haven't gone through that process because it takes a while and you don't want to watch that. That's boring. Honestly, the pressure is too high for me to edit in front of you. That is way too much. So we're not going to really pay attention to what it gives us here. I'll probably just provide it the actual one again, and I'll say, all right, now do it again. So we'll say, hey, the edited version adopts a friendlier, more conversational tone, such as using phrases. It picked up that we had the emoji in there. So proposed update, encourage a lighter, approachable tone that speaks directly to the audience without losing professionalism. Right? So that's kind of cool. It's going to provide all these adjustments. Now we're going to use our judgment, go through these proposals, and rework the model again. This is constantly an iteration. The closer we can get it to just spitting out something like what we say, the better. So I seeded it, and this is the part you didn't see. I seeded it with some documents of blog posts that I've written, professional blog posts that I've written. And I had it initially develop a set of recommended tone and style instructions based on that. And that was layered on top of things that I already told it that I wanted it to do. If you have a brand guide or a brand voice or some sort of document there, that's a great place to start with this sort of thing. So you create a custom GPT or Claude instructions. You do a Claude project, you can do that the same way, where you provide all this information, you have it develop these guides, and then you work through writing out one section at a time with your blog. And when we're done, we'll have this beautiful blog, which I have a lot of work to do right now. I won't show you that, but this is generally the process I do to try to develop a more resilient, more high quality, a lot more human sounding blog post, while AI automates a lot of the structural parts of generating that blog post. And by integrating Perplexity on the front end of this whole thing, we're able to source a lot of the things that we're saying. So what we write is not hallucinatory. It's based on, web links out there. We can then take it another step. We can build our own web links. We can do our own research, and we can layer that on top and build that initial fact sheet that we provide to the AI. So AI is faster, but it's still a lot of work to get a high quality item. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because the more you automate these things, the less human they sound like, the more they start to converge on the same voice, tone, and style. So there's a lot of power in the customization and personalization. Anyways, that's all I have. I hope that some of this was helpful, useful, insightful. Go out, make beautiful blog posts, and enjoy. Bye-bye.